There we go. Excellent. Okay. And then we have, yeah, I hope he can join us. He said he was going to join. I hope we don't have a problem with some other aspect of it. I'm going to put some slides up as well. Wait, should I put up yeah, put up the minutes first. Put up the minutes first. I think this is today. Okay, so who's here? Attendees, 24th. We have Joe. We have Bruce. We have Maharaja, right? With an H, is that right? We have Sandy, and we have Ram. We have Kip, right? And we're beginning at 7:38 p.m. I'm surprised Larry's not here. I hope he can fill us in on what he's been doing with the new assignment he has with the Treasury. So it would be really nice if we could find out which projects are going on in which areas and how they're doing, like if there's a status of any of all these projects in the different areas. Can each of the area people let us know how your area projects are going?
I'll check in on them.
Okay, that sounds good. How is Lonnie joining us tonight?
I know you invited her. We had an XCOM yesterday. She didn't show up, so I don't know.
I'm trying to encourage her maybe to reach out to Emma, because Emma has some funding for similar types of activities, and I think she's kind of gone silent for a while.
So I saw that email. What section is Emma in?
She's in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just so you know, Lonnie's an up and coming volunteer. She's got a lot of energy. She's got a lot of plans. So it's probably a good idea. What you're doing is cross pollinate.
Yeah, I get her, really, like she always participates and has very important contributions and great things to say. So I look forward to,
Yeah,
figuring
no,
out.
we're trying to, you know, encourage and mentor her because she's gonna go places in IEEE, I think.
For sure. Yeah. But we have to let her know how much she can spend out of the,
That's the issue the section is having with her also.
right. So I'm hoping that you'll help me with that, because I don't want to be the one to bring the bad news, And
No,
especially what happened last year, that was my fault, I think, because I was taking over for Mimi and I didn't really, there wasn't a smooth transition there. So she missed
so
out.
Lonnie doesn't have a lot of IEEE experience, so she doesn't know the rules, the regulations, the processes, etc.
And the fact that we're all volunteers, right?
Well, that's another thing, yes, and that this isn't our job.
Yeah, we did the best we can and we say thank you.
Yes, and smile.
Yeah, that's good. It's all good. I've been promised beer or wine when we get to Pennsylvania. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I think during this past week, we had a few other small pieces of activity that went on that didn't get reported in a regular meeting, and that was that our one of the grants that Women in Engineering gave to our section is involving a STEM program, raising voices that students are. We bought kits that are from the National Inventors Hall of Fame. It's not the same as the Try Engineering free curriculum. These are, we selected it because the teacher preferred to use this product and because it also featured people that we used to work with at Bell Labs who invented the electric microphone. And they're sending out publicity people to take pictures of this activity and promote it through all of their venues, whatever their means are. So this is, I think it's a nice opportunity to feature IEEE, to feature the museum here, to feature this, the way that we work in these STEM activities with local schools and so forth. So I'm hoping that works out well. And it's going to be on the Monday following that XCOM meeting in the board meeting rather in Pennsylvania. So if people are driving back and they would like to stop by, we would really love it if you would join us on the 5th in Middletown. We can get you the directions and everything. It's the AT&T Science and Technology Innovation Center and Museum located on Laurel Avenue in Middletown in the New Jersey coast section. Does anyone think they might be able to join us?
So the 5th is the Monday?
Yes, starts at 10, ends at 1, but at any time during that time, you can pop in for a while and leave, or, stay. We
Uh,
would love it if people would mingle with the students and talk for a few minutes, and you know what I mean?
I'm booked in the EMI lab already for that day.
Okay, all right. But if any of the people who are attending from your area, that would be really great to have
Could
some
I
fun.
just ask one question? Do you have a spreadsheet of like what pace things are ongoing so that I can figure out which ones in the southern area I should be talking to? Because I know there's been a lot of email, and I know you've done a great job, but
I haven't,
I,
I
I've lost
haven't.
I've lost track of what's going on.
I do the best I can, but this week I set up a YouTube channel so that I can put the recordings of the meetings up there, because that might be the best way for anyone to catch up if they
Oh, okay.
really need to know everything. You know what I mean? So, and also Larry has volunteered to put together like a treasurer's accounting of what we've committed to, how much we've paid so far. Let me stop sharing and I'll share that. Can you see the spreadsheet right now? Are you able to see it?
No, not yet.
Okay, so let me stop sharing and then I'll share again, because then you'll be able to see. Share screen. Where is the white? There it is. Okay. So this is what we have going on, and I think you might have seen the email where the most recent Industry Day thing was not approved. That was over my head. I was glad someone else made the decision. I think, Bruce, you were suggesting that maybe it would be a good idea to continue with that project. Is that right?
Well, I tried to advocate, but I think I was out of sequence, so I'd put in my good words for it. But I went to the event actually, so I think it was a good event. But I guess
What?
they had originally plans, and then they put in a last minute request. But they already had several other events, so I guess that's where it stands. Unless you
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and I think that's the unfortunate thing about at the last minute and certain limitations and so forth. And it would be, and there's 22 sections, right? So we want to try to help other sections as well. So it's hard. So I'm glad Greg made a decision, right? I think I didn't want to be the one.
Yeah,
So
I think
then,
the balance, the two competing priorities, right? One is to support volunteers with what they're trying to do. And I think generally we want to be supportive so that others will come forward to make proposals. But I think you're right. The other flip side of that balance is, having just seeing that the support can go to different, can go across. So I guess
yeah.
the challenge is that's what we need, that's our role, is to help inform people and encourage them to come forward with proposals. So yeah.
And one thing that would be really nice if we could possibly do it, and since things are opening up more, I think that's one of the other reasons why we're all feeling more distressed, is if we each, with our societies that we might have closer relationships with, if we try to find some societies that we could tap to and try to, like, if we know certain kinds of activities are coming up, or even if we don't and we want to plan something, develop that as another alternate, a means for income for these projects that people are doing, or another way to get support of some kind. Does that make sense, Bruce?
Yeah, I think everything you said makes sense. So we should be promoting events and holding events.
All right, I'm gonna put on our minutes here that maybe does anyone here have a favorite society that they'd like to reach out to see if we can do some kind of events in our region that would be partially sponsored or funded or whatever by a society? I'm going to put it under funding, number of projects, no, scope of funds, no, follow-up report. I'm going to put it under 8, which is a new item. Does that sound good to you, guys? Item 8. 8. Okay, here we go. We're gonna seek funding from societies, all right? Seek support from societies for activities in the sections and region. So I'm thinking like, I'm the chair of instrumentation and measurements and computer society. And those two societies might have some opportunities that we can look into and find out about. Maybe they could be helpful to the the region. And the other thing is like that ComSoc history committee that I'm vice chair of, we were able to get some funding to do some milestones that are communication society related milestones, but that also have a DEAI plus theme to it. So some aspect of it with, woman, a minority, person who's disabled, some kind of inclusion, whether it's, language or whatever. So we should all be thinking about finding a milestone that we can promote, because they'll give $500 for the milestone, toward the milestone, and some money toward oral histories. So I think we should, be thinking about that as for example. Does anybody have any ideas about a milestone in Region 1, as long as we're on that subject for the moment? Just think about it, okay? All right, so you're still seeing the spreadsheet in front of you, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Uh,
Are any of these projects, you want to read through the projects or what?
I can report that the Long Island Micro Mouse was held. Super Soon Wan drove down the maze. He's always amazing. And it was successful. The interesting thing was we got a couple of high school teams. And that's the whole issue. We've got some volunteers in the Long Island section, a gung-ho on robotics, and so they really want to take the Micro Mouse thing places. So I think the section's going to support them in
And this
purchasing.
was Andrew Sass, right? Is that right?
Yes, Andrew Sass, yes.
He seems great. I'd really love
Yes.
to get him. Yeah. I'd really love to do a new region-wide Micro Mouse thing that's specific for disabled people, like make a Micro Mouse challenge about using home appliances to help people who have disabling conditions somehow.
So that's interesting, because we were concerned with not stepping on Soon's toes with the Micro Mouse that Region 1 has been doing with the students, but Soon's all for growing it. So I think
Yeah.
he'll
I
support
talked to
that.
him. Yeah, I
Oh,
talked
okay.
to him so I'd really love to see if we can do that. And Ram and I were talking about that too. And I'm sure Bruce would be very interested in that, right? Is there anyone who's opposed to such an idea? Maybe we can float it at, with other people. But Soon already said, yeah. And so did Andy.
Yeah, no, Andrew Sass, I think he's really got a passion for robotics and this stuff. So we need to tap into that, right? It's our job to
Absolutely.
encourage volunteers and help them be successful.
Can we come up with a plan of like how we can form this initiative and like when we can like begin it, or I'm gonna
So
put it on
what are
my.
you envisioning? Where would it be?
So like you were saying, it's a robotics thing, right? And I'm the only, I think, robotics and automation person in our section. I don't know how many other robotics and automation people there are in the region, but I think it's one of the important themes of technology, right? I mean, it's something the whole region could benefit from, having a dedicated program, having something to do with robotics, and also that it's a humanitarian thing, that it has a very specific focus of helping people who are aging or who have disabling conditions. I know that Bruce is involved, and Maria also, you have these aging and robotics themes in your work, right, Bruce?
Yes, so that's the telehealth industry connections program, and Maria Palambini. Yes.
Right. So I'm thinking, like, since we already have all these little pieces around the region, we could like connect them somehow, either on a page or just link to them. so people can get some of the background, they can know who the specialists are, they can understand maybe there's a challenge. The challenge could be for, a specific event or a specific deadline, or it could be a rolling challenge, and we could have an event where people demonstrate their solution for aging. Or maybe we could, I don't know how, I haven't seen the micromouse itself. Is it something that people could do a hackathon with? Sandy?
So the micro mouse is more a team concept, and it's like a less complicated robot. But when you say like a hackathon, it's more of a competition where the teams bring their micro mouse and they try to traverse the maze, and whoever does the best wins.
Great. So now imagine taking this thing with the maze and making it the layout of an apartment, and it has certain obstacles, and then you have like an assistant robot, or you have a dog. My favorite would be like a real dog that has an assistant robot, and the house, the smart house helps the dog do the tasks, fetch a thing, answer the door, go to, these kinds of things that I think we could make like a use case out of for each type of scenario, and have a competition, like you said, a team. But do you remember the people who built the turtle robot, the Roomba? I can't remember their name. Rodney and the nice lady, I can't remember her name. But they would have these hackathons, like they'd bring the kids in, they'd give them the assignment, and then they'd work in groups right there on the site, solving the problem. And then later on in the weekend, they would have the competition. But there was actually,
Okay.
yeah. So there was actually like time for everyone to work together to develop their solution, so that they're not all stressed about it,
Right.
with people around, adults, people who know about how to do it. Just an idea, that's all.
It sounds like we need a lot of thought put into what the event could be. I mean, I know I don't want to tangent this conversation, but the whole AI and Chat GPT and where all this stuff is going is like a precursor to what you're talking about.
Right. And so if we're thinking about like what's the future of technology, and we want to be vocal in this area, we want to help steer the direction of the discussion, as opposed to allowing it to amplify without direction and, adult supervision.
So I'm sorry, but I'm not in the robotics field. I did my project when I was for my degree, but so we need somebody who can envision what this kind of event would be. Maybe Andy Sass is a good person to.
Exactly. I mean, I was talking to him about it. We could also, borrow a few other people. I'm sure there are people that are in our section. I mean, there are people at Worcester, right? And there's people at that Boston company that makes the big dog and the tuna fish, right? Those people are in our region.
Yeah, it
It's-
sounds like we need to connect with somebody like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, question,
Mhm.
Kate and Sandy. What do you think? I mean, are you going to plan it to have it like a region-wide, or are you going to plan it on a particular section, or what, like in the Boston area, or what is the plan like? What are you thinking?
So when I was talking to Andy and to Soon about it, I thought we could start it down here in our section, but it would be a region-wide thing. But I think it would be just much easier to do it someplace where the universities are actually located, where people can easily get.
Yeah, no, I was kind of thinking, like, I know you're all from Boston, and you kind of, tend to, there are a lot of people in Boston in this area, but shouldn't we be looking beyond Boston area, kind of?
Exactly. I mean, I'm thinking maybe we could even have simultaneous. It could be like simultaneously in different places. But
Yeah, because I know, like when you said who would be the right person, I know one person in the Hudson, Mid-Hudson section. He's a professor at Marist, and oh my God, he is so good. He does so many things for the kids, like the first Lego leg, and he just kind of single-handedly does all these things. I mean, his name is Casimir Ducastis. I mean, he had never really come into volunteering for IEEE. He has been a long-term IEEE member, but he has never done anything. But I know Soon very well. I don't know whether I should, and I don't know whether Kasimir does it. Like after COVID, a lot of things changed, and yeah, I was kind of thinking if we can do, because the pace is, after all, it's a whole region thing, right? And we should make the
I mean,
pace
I was
money
thinking
available.
about like Mike Rufo, for example, or even getting Rodney. He just got that big award, right? He was one of the
Right.
people. Yeah. So I mean, there's recordings. We could really put a few nice things together that are either some live and some virtual and some, at your own leisure, but have a theme and direct the conversation. We could even like have these inventors kinds of seminars, inventing your future with the.
Yeah, right. And we can make it, we don't have to make it all like physically located at one place. I mean, we can have it like in a, I mean, everybody, we have been doing virtual sessions. I mean, it can be that in one location, let's say, at every section, possibly whoever interested in participating may have a one designated location, one school auditorium or something, and then they can connect through Zoom with like each of the, whatever section. I mean,
Right. I think basically what I'm just trying to say is that we can expand our idea of what a robot competition can look like. That's all.
Right. Only concern I have, Kate and Sandy, I don't know how much you are aware of it. Sometimes these competitions becomes a competition among parents almost, because the parents kind of, and
Well, that's why I was saying if you have everyone in the same room, and that's kind of good. I mean, I think that's a good story, right? So we get them to come in. We get them to come in because their kids are going to be involved, but then we get them
right.
involved. And I think that's a good story. We don't have to be afraid of that anymore,
No, surely not. Yeah, I just want to have the kids a little bit, do it themselves rather than their parents doing.
And we take the kids away from the parents. They go to the next room and they get to do, their own thing.
I know. I agree with you. Let the, I mean, some parents are, I mean, they want their kids to win at any cost.
And we want them to join. We want them to join IEEE Humanitarian Technologies, group,
sure,
right?
Sure. Yeah,
and so we get them either way, and that's a win-win. So I put that down here. I'm gonna put that down here as a reinvent the robot competition. Okay. However it's gonna look, we'll maybe by the next meeting we'll have some.
We can discuss it during the BOG meeting next week, right? I mean, we can, possibly we can ask Greg for some time and talk about I'm sure Greg is going to give you some time, Kate, to talk about PACE. So maybe you can bring these things up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask soon if Andrew is coming too, right? Isn't Andy coming, Sandy? Sandy, will Andy be at the meeting?
No, Andy is not on the Board of Governors, so he won't be at the meeting.
That's a drag. Okay, so yeah, so we'll plan, we'll scheme, we'll take over the planet and maybe some other planets too. As it could happen. All right, so reinvent the robot competition with Micro Mouse, right? So because we have this Shannon display down here, Tom Willis became extremely interested in this because we wanted to take the Shannon mouse, Theseus, and use that, this AI robotics thing together, like you were mentioning, Sandy, right? So AI and robotics sort of go hand in hand, and that's the discussion that this allows us to engage in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so Tom wanted to run, as soon as he thought about this, he said he wanted to run a whole day right here in Middletown at the time that we're going to do our meeting about the horn antenna, where we're trying to do a milestone and save the horn antenna at the same time. So we should put that like a tickler file aside for that kind of thing, where we can get together and do some brainstorming and idea sharing about how to do a micro mouse that also includes, information theory and AI and all the things that we think belong in that. So it's all ages. It's not just high school students, or college students. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I said, I think we're not ready to plan it yet. I think we got to discuss it and envision it and uh, get the right people.
Yep, but it's going to happen. Especially, this is the time to strike, because now that we're getting Region 2, right? This could be a great like Region 1, Region 2 project.
Good point. That's what's going to be interesting about this upcoming BOG, right? Because we're going to see more than we're going to see what they're doing, and maybe there is some places where there's synergies, and we can, join up with what they're doing, or they can join up with what we're doing.
Yeah, it would be really great. So let me switch over back to the slides. I'm going to stop sharing this other stuff, and I'm going to go back to the million slides that I always have. And then you might have seen some of them before, but maybe you haven't. There we go. It's May 24th. Okay, so I think there are some new people on this call, but Bruce and Ram have already seen these slides. Does everybody look familiar there?
I believe I've seen some of them.
Okay. Okay. Good. I think you're in there somewhere. You might be in there somewhere. All right. I have a picture
Yeah,
of
I
Sandy.
see myself. Yep.
I see Sandy's back. Yes. Okay. And a lady who attended the coronation is in there. She has an invitation to the coronation. Okay. So, what we shared the last time is this nice picture. This is just last week, so maybe you didn't see it. This is a picture of the competition, the composition competition that's done in the Berkshire section that we sponsored with our funding from PACE. And very, small section, very small population of students who attended. But I think this is something we could elevate across the region, to connect between the high schools and the colleges or universities and the YP, give everybody in that like age group something to do together. That's like one theme. And then maybe look back after some time, where are they now? Like keep track of these people who participate in some of these competitions as youngsters, and then see whether it made a difference in their career or their life or their ideas of who they are. That would be kind of nice. So we want to do some new initiatives. As Region 1 and Region 2 come together, we're thinking it would be nice to connecting with milestones. So get like a little bit more active to what I was thinking is we should have a map that shows pins where these milestones are, so that when you go to Boston, you know where all the milestones are. When you go to, Rochester, you know where the milestones are. I think that would be a very nice addition. What do you think, Ron? You like this idea?
Yep.
And then that'll help it become a little bit more accessible for ordinary people who aren't used to looking at wikis all the time and thinking about what it might look like. But also we want to start capturing oral histories, capturing the voices of people before they're no longer with us, especially. And we want to raise awareness of women in the region history, because women have been left out systematically for a long time for various reasons, doesn't matter why. But we're asking people to then help us develop these bio pages, and then we'll put them back into IEEE Region 1 history. So people like, for example, Virginia Apgar or Patricia Bath, or other people that we know of who are in our region, even Clara Barton, for example, we can make little bios, put them into our region history wikis, and then eventually attempt to do some more interesting dynamic media. Some of you have already heard this story before, but it's always something fun for me. So we want to have like a kickoff day at the museum down here or somewhere else. So maybe we could have a simultaneous, kickoff day for this kind of thing. And of course, connecting it to STEM would be great, because that's where people get the role models from the folks that we've recognized and we tell their stories somehow. I think this could be tied into conferences as well. Obviously, there's newsletters. Ram is planning, and Ram and Ron are planning to have a newsletter in our region now, history newsletter, right, Ram?
That's correct. I mean, I haven't gotten to it yet.
But we will. We have so many things on our plate, and we know we're going to get to that one very soon, right? I think we have to release a newsletter and a news article by June 2nd to announce those milestones that we want to do and the oral histories. So that would be, a good time to, at that point, we'll have been thinking about what we're going to write, and maybe at that point we'll have some newsletter ideas. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I think this would be helpful for Vitality, to look at maybe possibly influencing whether or not people can engage as a member, or whether affinity groups might be interested in like recognizing their people somehow, or the people that they admire. Sections and students and the region could be, inspired by these kinds of activities. And also I think it could be a good industry connection, because we can ask the industries that are sponsoring conferences or industries that are in our sections to offer up names of people that they might know about who would make good candidates to be on the timeline, to put them back into our history, whether they're women in technology history or whether they're humanitarians, like Clara Barton is a humanitarian. And I mean, I think also the other two that we mentioned before, which is Patricia Bath, who invented the laser surgery for your eyes to cure cataracts. And the other person was, who was the third person? Doesn't matter. Virginia Apgar. She was a physician who invented. Yeah, she was an anesthesiology physician, right? But she.
Oh, and she did. She also worked in obstetrics.
Exactly. She tested children when they were born to see how they were affected by anesthesia or the birth process, to see if they could be rescued. Right, Ron? So more children lived after she.
Yeah, and there's the Apgar score.
Exactly. So she invented that. And so it would be nice to recognize her since she was right here in our region. So let's see what else. So it would be nice to kind of come up with an idea about a budget for such a thing, to do some of these milestones and oral histories, because it's about $600 to get the professional transcription of oral histories. And milestones are about $1,000 to buy the plaque, and then some amount of money to do a celebration of some kind. So it would be nice to kind of think about a budget of like how many milestones we might want to do, and how that might tie into other activities that would provide for this vitality that we think might be useful. And of course, the aim is to increase student membership, transitioning to membership, and to engage in a much more widely recognized diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion plus kind of effort, so people can actually see we're doing it, that you don't have just 34 people on the timeline who are all men. And that we have, some other people on the timeline that we can see and relate to, no matter where we come from and whoever we are and whatever our interests are. I mean, I think one of the best
milestones can be up to $2,000.
Really?
That's what it cost us when we did the digital camera milestone.
Did you put 2 plaques up, or did you use the other 1,000 for some
No,
food?
we had 1 plaque, but it had to be, installed, and
Okay.
and so
Okay.
there were a lot of ancillary costs, not just the plaque, but the installation of the plaque.
So that's a good reason to be working with societies too. So like the Comstock Society gave us a budget for like $500 per milestone. So that's like a right away, some very appreciated money
Our
toward
section, the section paid for the milestones from its budget.
And that's something that's really a good thing for the sections to be doing. So I'm hoping we can convince people. So the next step is this newsletter, which has the June 2nd deadline, and then link it with the History Wiki, right? We could put the newsletters into the History Wiki, and maybe put a feature into the Comstock Communications magazine as a history article. I think that would be really nice if we could do that. But it's a lot of things on our plate. We should just,
Yeah,
nibble.
but I thought it unusual for sections not to pay for the milestones.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a quandary for me. But I don't want to hang out my dirty laundry here. That we actually got the budget though, thankfully. It's very nice. So now I'm going to try to make it happen. It's one thing it's each step, baby steps, right? And then Ram and Ron and I and others are going to try to help people to get through the process because it's a daunting process to do a milestone. So we're going to try to be like mentors for helping people get through the milestone. And Ram is planning to do like a simplified version of how to do a milestone, right, Ram?
More like a checklist with links to some of the salient things that are necessary. Because if you go through the IEEE process, the first time you do that, it can be a little daunting.
Yeah, and frustrating and distressing, and it might not inspire you unless you really understand the goal and the outcome. So also Marianne Hellriegel can teach us. She comes in often and she teaches people how to do the oral histories so that we can do a peer-to-peer version of oral history. So we should schedule like a meeting periodically where we want to interview people. We can make a list and put people on a list, right, Ron? We should start collecting a list of people who would be good candidates to do to be recorded for their oral history, like Victor Lawrence, for example, right?
Yeah, and actually, we could have a side discussion during the early June meeting because Ron is also going to be there.
Excellent. That'd be really nice. Okay, and then so this is what we have coming up. The one on the top, the row on the far right, we at ComSoc, Tom Willis recommended the Anita Longley Rice model of terrestrial model of radio propagation as a reasonable candidate for a milestone. And we attempted to, it's been taking like 3 years, 4 years maybe now. Finally, it seems to be moving forward. It's excruciating. And during that time, we met up with Dale Hatfield, who's next to the picture. She's, so Anita Longley is the lady on the right. Dale worked with her, and he's also very famous in the field. So recently he advocated for the milestone. And in addition, one of the peer-to-peer oral histories was recorded. So that it's already been transcribed and edited, and that should be appearing on the IEEE History Wiki very soon. And hopefully at ICC in Denver, they'll be celebrating this milestone if everything continues to move forward. Then, of course, we have this, let's save this horny antenna. And one way we might want to do that is to promote it as a milestone and then get people together and get excited about it. And our own, technology version of tiki torches and pitchforks running to try to save our history, the thing that we care about, right? So this is sort of what's an example of what we can potentially do. So we got this grant from ComSoc for $1,000 for each of 5 and 5 milestones and $3,000 for oral histories. And ComSoc is making $500 for each of these milestones available. So I'm hoping that that will help, and we can talk to other societies that are important in our region and see if they would be willing to sponsor some milestones also. So that's another reason to think about what societies or what companies we might want to connect with. So these are some of the people that we think we should put back on our timeline in our region. And let's see, that's the museum over here in Middletown. They have, you can see Theseus on the lower right-hand corner, the little mouse, and his maze next to him. And of course, Shannon, and then above that is Tesla, the Telstar. And on the left, you have the first telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, Watson's notebook, and below that is the first sound movies, recording and sound played at the same time. And of course, we have this Luminaries, Project Echo. This is our upcoming event on May 5th with Jim West and this lovely science teacher who does authentic science. She's the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year, went to NASA Space Camp. She's amazing. She goes to Washington and speaks to Congress about education in the United States. And so, of course, if we can create this archive of women in engineering history around the region and, do this together with the Region 2 so that we now have it like as a whole new initiative, I think it would be really a nice project for everybody. That's my thought on the subject, but I'm a little bit biased here. And then we have the humanitarian technology history. I'm on the board of the IEEE humanitarian technology. I'm on the IEEE humanitarian technology board. So this is a great interest to me. But I think a lot of people get involved with science and technology because they want to help people. And IEEE's byline is what advancing technology for humanity. So I think it's a natural fit. And I'm hoping that we'll do the same thing for humanitarian people as we are doing for DEAI. This is an example of somebody who should be added back: Edith Clark, First Lady Kate Gleason, First Lady of Rochester, right? And Ursula Burns and Emily Roebling. And this is one of my favorites, Maud Adams, who invented lighting for theaters. And wait, we missed one. Patricia Bath, who invented the surgery for cataracts, and Virginia Apgar, who invented the tests to determine what babies might need, what rescue they might need at birth. And Amelie Noether, is that the way it's pronounced from?
Noether.
Noether, yes.
And she's a great mathematician.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have so many rich experiences in our region that we can bring back to the table. I often use the example of Morse, Samuel F.B. Morse, who was a painter. But I think today we lose sight of the fact that he was an artist and a painter. These ideas can come from anywhere, and it's a really wonderful way to connect with young people, with the community, with just the application of engineering in our everyday life if we bring these stories back into our setting and community. And this, of course, is Sister Elizabeth Kenny, who is one of the 2 people ever to have free ability to enter the United States without a visa, because she saved so many people from the scourges of polio and basically invented rehabilitation, modern rehabilitation techniques, although she's not American. So I think that's everything that I have here. Of course, you guys know about REACH and you know about the tri-engineering, right? Everybody knows about these things, these resources that we have. IEEE TV. All right, so let me stop sharing this and we have just a couple of minutes left on our schedule. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to our agenda or anything that
No, this is very exciting, Kate. This is not just, I'm sorry, exciting is not the right word. What I was saying, that it's kind of not just illuminating, but very inspiring. Not exciting. Exciting was the wrong word to use. It's very inspiring, like the way you are doing it. Okay. The question is, Kate, I have is that, of course, you cannot do it single-handedly, right? I mean, do you have any plan to bring in folks and kind of try to execute it with your vision? I mean, you have done enough groundwork to articulate the vision, and the vision is great, in my opinion. But how do we bring it up? How do we bring this whole thing forward so that not just our younger generation or everybody should benefit from this, kind of going. I mean, it's a thing for the future. How do people kind of, how do we get it really there kind of to them? I mean, do you have anything?
I have like a couple of ideas that I think, first of all, engaging Ram and Ron. I think that was the best thing that we could possibly do, is to engage Ram and to, see this and and be it. And Greg seems to be very excited about this, right?
Mhm.
Ron? Yeah.
Yep.
And I think by engaging some of the societies and then trying to find a way to use it as an industry connector also, I think that will get people speaking about it. We can, publish, first of all, the newsletter and social media. It's a start, and we have a great website now,
Mhm.
right? And so we can start with just making sure there's information for people when they get the message, when they hear about it, there's something for them to look at. And then we make very specific plans, like the timeline, the milestones, and the micro mouse thing. I think those are like really good foundational projects to work on. And we can do it during this Region 1 and Region 2 process where people are, coming together, Region 1 and Region 2. And any kind of like flagship conference that we can engage in, so if you're engaging, if you're going to attend a society's conference, there should be a presence at that conference if it's in this region. Right? So do you have a suggestion about that?
Well, we can not only do it during the BOG, but we'll have a IEEE USA booth at the section Congress in Ottawa, and maybe you can ask Greg, because it's both a Region 1, Region 2 thing, and now Region 1, it's going to be like one. It was 1/6 of the IEEE USA, but it's now 1/5, going to be 1/5 of the IEEE USA. Maybe, we can have a presence at the IEEE USA booth with this.
I love that idea. That's a great idea. I'm already giving a talk on standards there, because what my plot to take over the planet involves, like, once you get this piece done, you like move it right into standards so that everything that you've done isn't lost.
Uh-huh.
So I think we have, the birth all the way to the standards story. And I think if you help me with that, and everyone else on this call, I'm really grateful that you stepped forward. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
as much as, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think this will be a great thing that we can, begin to plan for so the meeting is in August, right?
It's on 12th August or around that time frame. Yes.
All right. And do you already have time in the booth, or
It's an IEEE USA booth. I'm for sure there would be an IEEE USA booth. Well, not for sure again. Sorry. This guy, David Yams, who was like, I believe you know him, like he was an IEEE USA employee,
Yeah.
but unfortunately he was let go recently by IEEE. And there was this Daniel Griffin is the guy, again, possibly you know him too. He is taking over David. So things are a bit kind of, David was very, he knew what he was doing, and Daniel already has some other responsibilities, but he's in addition to that, he's taking over David's job as well. So I'm not too sure because last time when I met David, he said that there will be a booth, there will be this, this video of awards which you asked for. But now,
right.
now that David is gone, things are a bit in a, I don't know. If David was there, I'd say for certain there will be something. But now it's difficult for me to say, what will happen there,
Yeah, I mean, I heard that these presentations that we're supposed to give are like high on the slides, like there's like 50 slides for 5-minute talk,
Yeah.
Basically they flip the slides. I think that's an ideal kind of form factor to like at least splash and introduce these ideas,
Right.
And we could do it all the way from the students in the high school all the way through to the standards, and like touch each of those points along the way, right?
Right.
You visit Boston, you find out what happened there, you go to the milestones, if you're having an event, then you can borrow one of these historic. I really can't wait to see.
Yeah, I mean, we should make it as much, I mean, we should, whatever happens, I don't know, but we should make use of that event as much as possible, I mean, whatever, we have to be a bit creative. rather
Yeah.
than depending on one person. We should use the section Congress as much as possible, at least by word of mouth. We should talk about that.
All right. So I think Ram and Ron and I were planning to get together about the history thing anyway. Ram, do you think we could just like make another or a larger meeting to like put a stake in the ground over this? What do you think?
Yeah, let's discuss that, Kit.
I'm excited. Okay, so Maharaj, what is your action item for us for the section?
Okay, first for the section, of course, I have to get this report that Joe was talking about. I completely forgot. That's my first and foremost important item. Okay. On the robotics side, I would, whoever is your contact person you're talking about, I would possibly get him in touch with customer. And customer is, again, I mean, I don't know the person you talked about. I don't know him, but customer, I know customer, and possibly he'll be.
Mike Rufo is one of the top, like one of the principal people at Boston Robotics.
Yeah, so customer is the same kind of person in the Mid-Hudson section. So I think they will make a very good pair, you know. So I would possibly have they both meet and decide how they want to do it. Without, I mean, once we can get those two brains together, possibly we don't even have to worry about anything.
Yeah,
We should, they should be able to manage things.
My colleague from Bell Labs, Dan Lee, we've been collaborating for years and years and years on robotic stuff. And most recently, I asked him if he was available to help with these things, and he got too full. He can't do. He's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody has to do their jobs. I mean, this is volunteer. You know, IEEE is, you cannot pressure, you know, I have my day job, I have my family, and, you know, I mean, after that, so this is, so with, I mean, we should acknowledge that, right? But I think on the robotics side, and, you know, we should get those two folks together. If there is any other folks who can possibly participate, we should have them from other sections, like from, like, you know, from Joe and Sandy's sections. I mean, anyone else. I mean, Bruce, I know Boston is in your area, but, you know, Sandy and Joe, if you think of somebody from your areas can get together, so we can possibly get this, you know, these four people, robotics minded people together, and we can have a completely region wide kind of thing for this one. This one, that's how I would rather. Because otherwise it kind of looks very Boston thing, you know, at least from my side, from the central area, that's how it looks like. So we should have it like a.
I'm going to ask you if you and I could plan a meeting sometime within the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
That's serious about this micromass. You know,
yeah, that should be that should come to our forefront. I mean, our students are like, you know, the STEM students in high school. They are the next level of engineers, okay? Yeah. And they will be the next level of IEEE members. So we should.
Right. I mean, you know, I'm talking about grown-ups, right? Not just the students, but grown-ups, right? So, and AI and robotics as a real serious topic, you know. Right. So that's the point. So, yeah, you and I will get together. We'll have a meeting. We'll get Victor involved.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, and any so then the history stuff we've taken care of, Ram, right? We're going to deal with the history stuff. Bruce, do you have any suggestions about what you think needs to be done to operationalize our plot to take over the planet in intergalactic places?
Well, it's a very general prompt. Did you want to ask something specific?
No, I want you to tell me what's on your mind.
Yeah, I think we should proceed with the plans.
Okay. Joe, do you have a suggestion?
No, but you certainly went over a lot of stuff. It's got me thinking. I don't have anything concrete, but
maybe
I like the idea of the robotics competition stuff, and I was just, you know, as you're talking, I was thinking, you know, how can we increase the size of people who are pushing this stuff forward?
Right.
Yeah, I think when you think about humanitarian technologies, you're not limited to the membership of IEEE. And so I think that's one of the keys. And when Maharaj suggested that maybe we don't want the teachers, the parents doing stuff or the teachers doing, maybe we do. And I think that's a
No,
whole new,
right. I see your point. No, I was kind of,
yeah, it breaks the fourth wall, but until we actually speak about it, we don't really realize it. You know what I'm saying? So once
Right.
you spoke about it, then we realize it,
right.
and
Right.
it makes it okay. Like maybe somebody worries about what languages these robots speak,
Right.
and that's a fantastic opportunity.
You're right.
So I think we should think about use cases. We should think about how does someone run this kind of a workshop, or this kind of a competition, or this kind of a series of seminars that, like you said, engages the people that are not just every volunteer, right, Joe? Not just the ordinary volunteers.
Yeah, I think we need to engage everybody. I think our IEEE membership is largely untapped, because if you look at the number of people who are volunteering on a section level, or it always seems such a small percentage of the actual members in a section.
Right, because I think we don't tap into the societies as much as we could,
Well, there's that, but there's a lot of members out there who are members, but they're not active in their societies, they're not active in their sections. And I think a lot of it is they're just busy with life, with working and raising families and such. But I think there's also a potential that if you get somebody willing to volunteer a few hours a month, that they'll get something out of it that they didn't expect to get out of it.
Yeah, I think I'm often sharing this experience I had. I was trying to help people with hearing loss, promoting captioning, which I'm using right now on the screen. But I was trying to promote captioning as a low-cost way to help people with hearing loss in many situations, especially at work or in public places, or people who don't want to have to announce to everyone that they're deaf, or that they're hearing loss, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't qualify for hearing aids, or the hearing aids don't help for various reasons. We all know these are not perfect devices. They might be great technology, but they're not perfect. But then what I realized is that the captioning helps people slow down when they speak. Like a lot of people at first would become annoyed. Oh, it's not catching every word. But what it was doing is training people to slow down so they could be understood more effectively anyway. And in addition, it helps people to learn vocabulary they may not be familiar with, and it may help people to understand people who have an accent that's different from their own. So I think when we begin to work to peel away these layers about the robotics, we'll find the same kind of phenomenon. We'll find that it's not only good for aging, it's also good for people who don't know how to use their smart appliances. And you know what I mean? Like there will be learning that goes up and down in the ages and across different domains. And so I think this is a good opportunity to reach those people in the community that you're talking about,
Right.
Yet there's untapped potential amongst the life members. Yeah,
Hey, Keith, I have to drop off now, if you don't mind. I have to kind of, I'll be going to office tomorrow, and as you know, I have to take care of stuff.
Can I have your phone number? I seem to have misplaced it.
I will email you my phone number. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Cheers.
guys. Okay.
Bye. Bye. Yeah, the seniors, the life members. It's really important for us to. Are you a member of the life members, Ram?
Yeah, I've been a life member. I mean, I don't want to disclose my age, but
So maybe you can help us network with the life members.
we have life members who are active within our section, as Joe will tell you.
Yeah, I think it would be great, and especially to get some opinions. During the pandemic, a lot of people made projects of teaching others how to use technology, right? And that's just like it's like a no-brainer. Learn how to use your robot, or learn how to program your robot, which I think but robots are hearing aids, they are household appliances, they are, they're not just, Klaatu.
I gotta head out also. It's time.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you, Sonia.
Are we done? Is everybody happy with the meeting? Can we adjourn? What do you think? Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah.
I thought it was very informative.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys joined. And are we okay with the agenda? Just we don't, since we went through everything on the agenda, we don't have to formally end the meeting, right? Because we finished the
No,
agenda.
there's no such thing as formally ending an IEEE meeting. You just end it.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
See you later. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Nice to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. See you at the meeting.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye.
So you're still here? You guys are still here? It's nice. So we'll see you in Pennsylvania, right, Joe? Okay. Bye.